Hello everybody, my name is Ting Cheng. I'm going to talk about my company, 8AA Fashion. Here is my table of contents. I'm the founder of 8AA Fashion Company. This is an online wholesale e-commerce. We provide small household items and women's wear. And my customers were mainly wholesalers. And I had about 600 online franchises. I helped them start their business online. And I had 3 logistics centers, 1 in Taipei and 2 in China. And I developed 3 IT systems to help manage my franchises and my websites and help reduce their workload. I'm going to talk about social identity. In Bailey's sequential interdependence theory, if one unit in my company failed, and it could lead to the failure of my overall process. There was an example of this theory. When I first started my business, I had only one supplier, and this only supplier one day told me that their warehouse was out of power, and they couldn't deliver my orders for at least a week. So I had no choice but to find other sources. I thought of cancel those orders and refund the money back to my customers, but it would affect too many people because most of my customers were wholesalers and franchises. So I quickly found some other sources, other suppliers to manage this issue. So since then, I had all my products supported by at least 2 suppliers. There is another theory in social identity, Bentley's reciprocal interdependence. The output of one unit becomes the input of another unit. It's a cycle situation where 2 units need to communicate and interact with each other. And I had an example of my supplier and my logistics center. In 8AA Fashion, we knew reciprocal interdependence was important. We had special culture with local suppliers in China. Our managers spent time drinking with their managers. In China, we spend time building relationships because usually rules can be broken by a good relationship. Before every Chinese New Year, which was our hot season, many popular apparels would be out of stock, and we would lose our business if those were out of stock. And that's when a good relationship came in handy. Sometimes our suppliers would give us their warehouse key, and sometimes they will cancel their other buyers' orders and give us the goods we need. In social identity, there is another theory, pooled interdependence theory. One unit is the very least involved in the company business process, and it doesn't directly depend on other departments. But the failure of this unit could lead to the failure of the company as a whole. In 8AA Fashion, we have a position, cybersecurity specialist. And the failure of this position could lead to the failure of the company. There was once someone hacked into my website and stole my customer information, and soon many customers received phone calls from scammers. And some of my customers believed it and transferred money to scammers, but some of them didn't believe it and were very angry and questioned our security. Our IT specialist spent 3 days to recover our site, and we lost our reputation. In human resources, I'm going to talk about Sutton's group brainstorming theory. Based on his theory, group brainstorming creates more valuable ideas comparing to brainstorm alone. And this must be supported by a positive atmosphere of sharing ideas in a company. There's a culture of sharing ideas and doing brainstorm in AAA fashion, and I encourage my employees to share their ideas and opinions. There's an example in my company, our lunch meetings. We had a culture of meeting while having lunch almost every day. We talk about our work, our life, and the latest TV news and the hot topics. It was our important brainstorming time to create new ideas. We create business ideas and solve issues that we encountered at work. Without them, I couldn't generate so much valuable ideas and solve problems alone. There's another theory, Scotton's skill variety theory. Experts in different fields gathered together can provide skill variety to spark new ideas because it helps people to think outside of the box. In our company, it's interesting that how people in different fields provide different opinions, and it did help us to see things differently. There was an example in my company. Sophie and Mandy were my employees. Sophie came from a wealthy family, and Mandy came from a poor countryside, where most people make their living in fishing. They always have different opinions, and there was once I talked about the doobie jacket business plan with them. Sophie wanted our company to sell expensive and nice quality jackets, and Mandy wanted the cheaper and fair quality jackets. Therefore, we came up with a conclusion that we didn't stock the expensive jackets and only import them when we receive orders, and we stocked some cheaper jackets to test the market before taking further actions. Next, I'm going to talk about Sutton's client joint theory. We can usually generate more valuable ideas when we brainstorm with our clients. In AAA fashion, our clients were wholesalers. They were at the front line in the market, and they react fast to the market trends. It was important to communicate with them before we set up our marketing strategy at the back end. There is an example in my company, which I call the teacher crisis. During the financial tsunami in 2007, many factories fired their employees, and many people lost their jobs. Some of them became street vendors, and this made my business thrive accidentally, which I act as a supplier, and they were the wholesalers. I could sell 1,000 quality t-shirts at the time, but they soon declined, thanks to my customer that they told me that there were other people selling half of their price. So I quickly contacted my suppliers and my logistic managers. I soon found out that many Chinese factories bankrupt, and their t-shirt was $1 for a pound, around 5 to 6 t-shirts per US dollar. Those factories actually sold their inventory by weight, and you could feel that the market was in chaos. I was forced to change my business strategy. Next, I'm going to talk about leadership. In Venka's utopian capitalist society theory, free market capitalism helps create a utopian capitalist society. In my company, I try to create employees' happiness by raising their level of their liberty, opportunity, and welfare. There is an example, my employees' work environment. There was once my employee chose to experience her life in Japan, and therefore she carried her notebook to Tokyo and worked remotely for 2 months. Interestingly, we had an hour time difference, and I allowed her to work an hour earlier and leave an hour earlier. In order to meet her needs, we all had to adjust some of our working schedules to meet her schedule. But it wasn't a big deal, because later that year I went to the US, and I worked day and night upside down. Next, I'm going to talk about Venka's inequity theory. For those who contribute more or reward more. In AAA fashion, money reward were one of the hardest parts, but it was never a fair game. For example, in franchise sales performance rewards, Our franchise was rewarded more when a better sales performance was made. Our best performed franchise got 12% while others received 5%. It was important to reward those who create more profits for the company. Our company offered them a fair share of bonus so that they would keep cooperating with us. In Venka's maximum fairness theory, he said that when maximizing fairness, everyone can compete in a fairness game and enjoy the equal opportunity in a society. I want to share an example of why I started AAA Fashion Company. Before I started this company, many people suggested me to do a less popular business so that I wouldn't have so many competitors. Therefore, I spent $10,000 doing the coat business. I mainly manufactured leather purses in China and sold them to Taiwanese customers, but I failed. I lost all my money in 2 years. However, I didn't give up. I started another new business. Although I got no money, I still utilized many free resources to start a high-demand business, fashion women wear. The profits were so great that I soon bought a house in a city. Therefore, I have developed a theory which was similar to Venka's maximum fairness theory. We all could have the fairest share in any high-demand markets. In conclusion, in social identity section, we learned that how each unit in AAA Fashion Company interact. In human resources, we saw how this company gathered people's ideas and turned them into profits. In leadership, we saw how big environment lead this company to its success. You can read my article. I have shared my experience to help you discover your company's weakness and strength. Here are the 3 concepts that I want to share with you at the end. First, be innovative. It's very powerful to do group brainstorming with people of different skills. Second, interact with people. You will find many resources through a good relationship with people. Last, don't use money to solve problems. Try to solve problems with your resources, not your money. And that helps you receive a deeper understanding of the core problem. At the end, here are my works cited. Thank you for your attention.